Hi everybody and welcome back to Inside the Craft Room. Today we have a really exciting guest. We have Sally from Secret Life of a Seamstress. You may have watched her YouTube channel or seen her on Instagram. Sally is an amazing sewist. She's also a knitter and a crocheter, and she does all sorts of other crafting bits and bobs as well. Yeah, Sally also writes for lots of different websites, and she's a Minerva ambassador. I'm sure I've missed out a few bits there, but I'm sure she'll tell us about those. So welcome to Inside the Craft Room, Sally.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Oh, good. Yeah, no, it's lovely to have you here. I've been wanting to sort of pick your brains about a few things for a while, because I've been following you for a couple of years now. I think basically since the start of your channel, really.
Oh, really?
Because how long has it been since you started your YouTube channel?
A couple of years, I think. It was kind of in the middle of COVID, so yeah, it must have been about 2020, I think. That's when I sort of really started to get serious about it anyway, and started posting more regularly and things like that. So yeah, it seems crazy that it's been that long actually. I thought I gave myself about 2 weeks, but here we are 2 years later.
Yeah, no, I think I must have started following you fairly soon, because I started sewing during sort of early, like in 2021. So I think, yeah, I must have started following you quite soon after that. Oh. But we didn't really get to know each other, did we, for a while?
No. It's always really nice when you do start to get to know people better, I think. Such a lovely sewing community, isn't it? Yeah,
definitely. So could you just sort of introduce yourselves, tell people about yourselves a bit, you know, where you are and what you're up to and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so I'm Sally, I'm from Bedfordshire. I'm a married mum of 2 children, one teenager now, 13-year-old, my son, and then my daughter Lily is 10. And we have a Cavapoo dog called Alpha, who's 8 years old now. Can't quite believe that either. So yeah, so I love all things sewing and crafting, really. Knitting, crochet, sewing, dressmaking. I started a while back now with a little handmade business called Poppy and Primrose, where I used to sell on Etsy and things like that. And then when my son was born, I kind of dabbled a bit more into dressmaking and things like that, and really got the sewing bug. Ended up posting on Instagram, and eventually, as you say, started my YouTube channel and a blog and everything. And now I'm working in freelance blogging and writing and making video content for other sewing brands, which is brilliant. And it dawned on me the other day that I'm probably doing my dream job now. So yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh, I love that. That's so nice. That like sort of like a little hobby, not a little hobby, but a hobby has, you know, like sort of snowballed basically and turned into all these amazing things.
Yeah. It's amazing really how sewing and crafting has grown over the last few years, I think. Much more popular than it was when I was younger, so it's really good to see.
Yeah, definitely, because it's sort of the same for me. I started when I was ill, and then it's actually turned into my job, which was really unexpected but amazing. And I really love that I get to spend my days surrounded by fabric and yarn. That's always really nice.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I never really thought it would be possible to have a job sewing, but yeah. We're lucky, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I feel very lucky. So sort of leading on to that, could you share a little bit about your craft story, how you learnt to sew? And I mean, you sew and you knit and you crochet, but maybe we'll focus on the sewing, how you started sewing right in the beginning.
Yeah, so I feel like I've always sewn really since I was quite little. I was always like the child that would be doing the little kids' tapestries and cross stitches and things like that. But it was always that kind of hand sewing rather than any dressmaking or anything. I was much more of a knitter in my younger days, but my mum always had a sewing machine. I used to kind of look at her doing her crafting and things like that. And also my nan was a seamstress as well. So sewing has always kind of been around for me. But it wasn't really necessarily what I was really interested in. I was more interested in knitting at that time. And then I think when I grew up and I got a bit older and I got more interested in clothing, I kind of asked my mum if I could have a go on a sewing machine and dabbled in it a little bit, but never really made a lot. And then when I got older still, I started to do a little bit of sort of home furnishing, sewing like cushions and curtains and things like that. And then when I had my children, it was at the time when sort of sew over it and the sewing bee and things like that were all coming into fashion, I suppose. You know, sewing was getting a bit more popular. And I used to watch sew over it videos and things like that on YouTube and just think, oh, I'd love to get back into sewing and really have a go at dressmaking. I'd had a couple of sort of failures, I guess, where I tried to make things from really stiff fabrics and they hadn't turned into things that I wanted to wear necessarily. But seeing all these garments that, say, like Lisa Comfort was wearing and making and things like that really inspired me. So I bought a sew over it pattern and I made my first sew over it shift dress, and finally felt as though I'd made something that I would actually be proud to wear. And then I just got the sewing bug, really. Watched endless YouTube videos, taught myself more and more, and yeah, it went from there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's quite interesting because I actually, the first sewing channel I got into was Lisa Comfort on Sew Over It, when she used to do like all of it herself, and she was doing it in her own house and stuff. That's what really inspired me as well, because her clothes always looked so amazing. I mean, they still do, like she still shares a bit, doesn't she, on her Instagram, and they still look just really beautiful and really well made. I'm not sure I'm I'm that level yet still, but yeah, her clothes were always amazing and like quite stylish, and I always liked how vintagey they were, and that kind of
me too.
Yeah, really interested me in like having a go. It's interesting as well, like how many people seem to get into sewing when they have children, or knitting when they have children, because like they make things for their children. I guess when things are smaller it's a lot quicker.
I can't actually say that I made a lot of my children sort of garment wise anyway when they were little. It's something that I kind of regret in a way, but at that time I was getting a little bit more into sewing for them in terms of making things for their rooms and things like that. So I made blinds and cushions and quilts, but now I kind of look back and think, I look at all the patterns that are coming out for little girls and things and think, oh, I wish I sewed more for my daughter. But I think you're so busy at that time when they're little, you just don't really have time. And also because they grow out of things so quickly, it kind of seems, is it worth it? But I've still got a lot of...
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, the things I've made for their rooms, some of the things are still there now. So I definitely did sew for them. But I think it's just having more time and just being at home more. That's what kind of inspired me to get back into it. I wanted to sew more for the house. I never really thought I would get into, dressmaking and that again. I think it was definitely down to Lisa Comfort. She at the time was the only one really doing that kind of thing, wasn't she? And now it's grown massively, obviously, vlogging community and things like that. But
I mean, like you say, like Sewing Bee and people like Tilly from Tilly and the Buttons obviously started on the first series of Sewing Bee, and that's like a really big because there was a bit of a break, wasn't there? They did a couple of series and then there was a break, and then now it's really, really popular again. I think it's like one of my favourite TV shows.
Yeah, me too. And I remember when my daughter was really tiny when that came out, and I remember thinking, wow, there's like a TV show about sewing, this can't be real. This is amazing, I have to watch it. And I watched that series over and over again at the time, because Lauren was on it as well, wasn't she, from Guthrie and Garney?
Yes, yeah, she was, yeah. I need to go and visit Lauren's shop actually. It's about an hour away from us, so I feel like it's a bit of a trek, but it's not too far from some family that we have, so I feel like I could see them and also go to Lauren's shop, because it always looks amazing on Instagram.
I'm quite jealous of you actually, because you've got the Cotswold Sewing Centre and you've got that nearby, and we haven't really got a lot here.
Yeah. Oh really? Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm quite lucky obviously now, like with work, as being able to go in all the time, but I do find like the shows are really good, aren't they, for picking up, like the knitting and stitching show and the stitching show I'm going to in March are always really great. Creative craft show as well. I always tend to pick up like 3 or 4 things whilst I'm there, to kind of stock up, because it's so nice to see things in person, isn't it?
It is definitely. Yeah, we need more in-persons. We need more bricks and mortar shops, I think.
Oh yeah, well hopefully, because I feel like crafting and sewing's just grown massively during COVID, that there might be more and more businesses. There's a lot of people who seem to start online and do very well, and then they get to open a shop. So like along with Anna, who I bought this yarn from at the weekend, they've now got a bricks and mortar shop because they were needing premises and they did so well. So I feel like, that sort of sometimes happens.
Whereabouts is that?
So that one's in Exeter, so it's a little way away.
Okay.
But I think Georgie has just moved as well from Hayso. Sister has just got premises because they were working out of their spare bedroom, and now they're doing so well that they can get themselves a sort of stock room, and she's talking about having open days and stuff. So yeah, I think that we might start to see a few more bricks and mortar shops. It would be nice to go and feel the fabric and look at the colours.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads on nicely to what is your favourite make of all time? That's quite hard, I feel. You're allowed more than one.
Well, I did have a think about this actually, and I thought I hope it's not boring people saying this, because I feel like I've mentioned it a few times recently, but it's actually the Jack trench coat that I made recently, only back in October, because I had in my head that last year I wanted to make a trench coat, like a traditional style trench coat, but I realised that that kind of formal style doesn't necessarily fit my working at home and dog walking lifestyle anymore. And the Jack trench coat by Ready to Sew is much more relaxed take on the trench coat, so it's got quite a lot of the features of a trench coat, like the flap at the back and the pleats and things, but it's not quite as formal. So I looked at that and really wanted to make it, and there were a few techniques in there that I knew would challenge me. So yeah, I was just really pleased with how it all turned out, and it was a challenge because Ready to Sew are a French company, and there are a few instructions there that were kind of lost in translation, let's say. It was one of the more difficult to follow patterns, and also I wanted to make it from a viscose twill, which is quite a difficult fabric to work with. And there was a time there where I just wanted to throw it out the window. I'm sure we've all been there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so yeah, I was just really pleased with how that turned out, actually. And it's just one of the things where, you know, if you'd have told me at the beginning of my sewing journey that I'd be making coats and things, I probably never would have believed you. So I was proud of that one. I guess there's a few dresses as well that I really like, but I've made so many dresses that I just don't know what to include.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, like, to have something a bit different to a dress, because my favourites are always dresses, but then I've not really tried much else. I'm really amazed by your coat because it looks really professional. You know, it looks like you bought it from, you know, a really nice shop or something. So it's given me a bit of inspiration to have a go maybe, but I think I'll need to start with like just a jacket first rather than a coat. Yeah. I've not even made like anything close to a jacket, so I need to sort of try that maybe.
Maybe, but I'd only ever made one coat and then went straight to that, so you never know.
I always like to hear what people's favourite thing is that they've made, because I feel like it sort of, yeah, says a lot about the sewer or the knitter or the crocheter. I think I'm just going to buy myself a trench coat this year. Maybe one year I'll make one, but yeah.
What's your favourite make?
I think it would probably have to be my lemon dress that I made last summer, just because I feel really good in it. So I wore it quite a lot. I wore it obviously for a wedding, and then but yeah, it made me feel really like, because it was very different and I got a lot of compliments on it whenever I wore it. And I really like the sort of yellow colours and the navy. But yeah, I mean, I've only been sewing now for like properly sewing regularly for just over a year, so I'm sure I'll make a lot more things. I've got a big fancy occasion in September. It's my father-in-law's 60th, and we're having like 2 dinners, so I need 2 different outfits. So I'm gonna sew some stuff for that, so I'm sure there'll be some more favourite makes in the future.
Yeah, you've done so well just to be sewing for a year. You've made loads.
Oh,
I love your lemon dress.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, I'm lucky because I get to sew, because I work from home and stuff. It affords me more time for like sewing and stuff when I'm at home in the afternoon. So yeah, I do manage to fit it in, I think, quite well. I'm sure that would all change if I was to, I don't know, have a child or something.
Yeah, same for me. Now that my children are a bit older, they're at school, I have a lot more time working from home to fit it in here and there. So yeah, it depends where you are in your life, I think.
Yeah, I'm amazed at Brogan from the Crafty Pie. How much sewing she's doing with a newborn. Yeah. It's very impressive.
No, I don't think I could have done any at that time.
No,
I would have been much more into knitting, I think, where I can just sit and knit whenever I got a spare 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Well, now this is a mean question, the next one. So we've had your like favourite make of all time. Now we have to I'm just going to ask you what your biggest fail of all time is.
Well, I can't think of any humongous fail, but I can think of lots of little fails. So I think all the little fails have kind of added up to teach me well, every fail teaches you something really, doesn't it? So I can think of like a time when I tried to make a shift dress out of jersey, which was supposed to be made from woven fabric. Just thinking at the time, okay, this will probably work. I was going on holiday, I think, and I just wanted to make like a beach dress. Still very new to sewing and following patterns and things like that. So I just chose this jersey and thought, oh, that'll work. But obviously it didn't, because the pattern was drafted for a woven fabric. So I remember getting very frustrated about, you know, why it wasn't fitting or why it wasn't working and didn't look right. And that, of course, taught me a little bit more about why certain patterns are drafted for certain fabrics and things like that. And yeah, I think that all my sewing fails really kind of come down mainly to understanding fabric and fabric types, I think. And how to work with them, and I think the more you do fail with those kind of things, the more you learn.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, I can think of quite a few things like that. And I remember struggling with sleeves for ages and not understanding how to gather sleeve heads into an armhole and just thinking, why won't it fit? And then, you know, trying to end up pleating it so that it would get in, you know, just get into the armhole. And that was another Lisa Comfort video actually that just I finally managed to get my head around how to sort of gather a sleeve head and ease it in and things like that. And I think just having the videos to follow helped much more than trying to teach myself or learn from just a pattern. So yeah, probably quite a few little fails along the way.
Yeah.
Rather than one big humongous one.
Yeah. As you say though, they're always like really good learning curves. I've only just started sewing with knit fabrics, and it is such a different construction so like nearly everything I've sewn before, all the dresses and things in woven fabrics, I have you know, a facing for the neck, and that's how you do the neck. But obviously with jersey you have to do like some kind of neckband or something, and also like learning when to stretch the fabric and when not to stretch the fabric. And I mean, I think that's one of the hardest things when you learn to sew, is like looking at the back of a pattern and it's saying, you know, whatever, viscose or jersey or whatever, and actually knowing what that means. Because if you go into a fabric shop, you wouldn't know what that means really, would you?
No, it's really hard. And I don't feel as though there are a lot of shops that actually have viscose. Well, at the time when I was sort of learning to sew and everything, the only shops I really knew was, say, John Lewis and places like that, where they only really stocked quilting cottons and 100% cottons and things like that. So yeah, the concept of like viscose and things that draped was massive to me once I got the hang of it. Realised how they worked with your body and things like that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've learned a lot this year. Now I know. Obviously now I work in a fabric shop as well, so I have to sort of know what things are and what works well, but still very much learning. I'm always amazed by like all of the team at Sew Over It just sort of say this is a this and this is a that, and I'm like, wow, how do you know what those things are just off the top of your head? But I guess it's just
lots
experience.
Of practice, I'm sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that kind of goes on well actually, because I was going to ask you what your favourite fabric to work with is.
Can you guess? I think it's got to be viscose, and for that reason really, because I remember the first time I made anything from viscose, it was actually a Sew Over It, is it an ultimate cami? You know, their cami top with the wider sleeves. Can't think exactly what it's called now, but I made that from a viscose rather than a cotton. And I remember saying to my husband, oh, it feels like something that I'd actually buy from a shop, because it actually draped and it felt nice to wear rather than being quite stiff like a, you know, quilting cotton, which is what I was used to buying from shops. So yeah, I do love to sew with a viscose. It can be quite tricky sometimes because it's a little bit fiddly and drapey and slippery, but I just think I love the effect of it, and I love to wear it as well, so it's got to be viscose. I think I wear a lot of jersey, but in terms of what I like to sew with, yeah, definitely viscose. And I love all the lovely prints you can get in it and everything. Yeah. I haven't done too much with viscose yet, but I've got a really lovely viscose fabric that I bought last year that's like a kind of like Dolce & Gabbana style print. It's like mosaic-y tiles on it, and lovely.
It's from Fabric Godmother. It's in like a blue and a white, so Yeah, it's just beautiful. It really reminds me of like sort of Italy and, you know, like Roman tiles, and it's just really stunning. And it has this incredible drape to it. So I think I'm going to make a dress for my father-in-law's 60th party out of that, because it's sort of early September, so late summer. So I think it'll work quite well. But yeah, it is slightly more slippery than cotton, isn't it? Because I've made a lot of things out of cotton now. I feel like it's time to maybe try something more interesting. I've got some pink strawberry fabric that I bought recently, which is a viscose, which I'm making my dress out of.
I saw that actually, because I was just watching your video this morning while I was cutting something out, and I thought, oh, that's pretty.
Yeah.
Lovely and pink and summery. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
That'll be really pretty.
It's very pink.
I think, yeah, I'm sure you'll be addicted once you've sewn something from viscose. You'll either love it or hate it. You might hate it because it'll be all slippery and horrible. But
yeah.
It's funny now though, because if I ever go back to sewing with cotton, it just reminds me how nice cotton is to sew with, because it just presses really nicely, doesn't it? And you can get such a neat finish with it. So I do love cotton as well. But I wouldn't say it's something that I like to wear that much. So yeah, if ever I have a nice cotton project.
It's hard, isn't it, to like... So I feel like with... jersey, obviously, as you say, like you wear that a lot because it's comfortable working from home, t-shirts and things like that, but cotton, as you say, can be quite stiff, which is great when you're sewing it, but then, you know, when you're sort of out and about for the day, it can be quite like stiff on you to wear. I tend to only use it really for like summer dresses with short sleeves, otherwise I find it a bit restricting.
I'm the same. I think if I'm going to make something from a cotton, I'd have it sleeveless or very short sleeved rather than actual long sleeves, otherwise I do feel a little bit stiff. But yeah, I do love sewing with jersey as well actually. I think, but I don't feel like it's my favourite. I feel like I sew with jersey just to have the end product, if you know what I mean, because I know that's what I'm going to wear. Whereas with viscose I kind of really enjoy the process of it. So. Yeah,
I find with jersey more things can go wrong. I really need to get myself an overlocker, because I keep finding that like even with the Mariflex thread it's been a lot better, but still it'll like skip a couple of stitches randomly, and then there's like a hole and things like that. It's really frustrating.
Yeah, it's not good.
So I feel like I need to get myself an overlocker for sewing with jersey. I think it'll be a lot more effective.
Yeah, it's really quick as well, because obviously you just whiz it all up on the overlocker rather than you know, sewing first and then finishing your seams like you normally would.
Yeah, no, that sounds really nice. Like,
I made a South Bank dress this morning actually. I had it all cut out ready and I timed myself to see how quickly I could sew it, and I sewed it in 45 minutes. So there you go. That's how quick you can be.
That is a speedy sew.
So that will be you soon with your new overlocker.
Yeah.
Whizzing up Billy dresses. I never thought it would be. Yeah. I know everyone used to say that to me as well actually. Oh, you know, jersey's so quick, and I always used to think, no, it looks too complicated, too stretchy. But once you get the hang of it, I think, it can be speedy.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so the next question is, what are you currently making, or what are you about to make next? And then what are you most excited to make? It can be this year or this season, because you may not have planned much more than just like the next season. So sort of what are you most excited to make this year, and what are you making next?
Well, you're actually catching me on a sewing day, so I'm actually trying to get some of my sort of wintry makes finished up before. I'm really excited actually for spring sewing now, so I keep getting all these ideas in my head for spring sewing, so I'm trying to finish up my winter make, so that's why I made my South Bank this morning. I've got a French Navy Now Stellan T cut out, which is a free pattern that I've been meaning to try for a while, and that's going to be my next Minerva make. And then I think what I'm most excited about, and also a little bit nervous about for this coming season, is I really want to try and make a pair of fitted trousers. So I've never made anything fitted. I've made trousers like the Hudson pants or the Sapphire trousers by tilling the buttons, but they're not fitted necessarily. They've got elasticated waists. So I really want to try making a fly zipper, because I've never done that before, and then just, you know, fitting an actual pair of trousers. So I'm going to try the Jessa trousers and jeans by tilling the buttons, which I've shared on YouTube before that I'm planning to make ages ago, but I've been too scared to get it started. So I really need to probably start a 12 for those and just try out the sheet or something like that. to try and get the fit right, and then yeah, have a go at those. But I always said I'd never make jeans and I'd never make swimwear, and I've done the swimwear now, so I need to have a go at the jeans, I think.
Yeah, I said that as well.
So I say excited, nervous. I just always thought I would buy jeans.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I might try it and then I'll hate it, and then I'll definitely still be buying jeans. We'll see.
Yeah, I know, because it terrifies me, the idea of working with denim and also like doing all of that kind of visible stitching, you know, like obviously on jeans you tend to get like that like camel coloured thread or whatever, don't you, like on all the pockets and everything, so it has to be really neat. Which is just a bit terrifying to me. Yeah.
I think I'll either love it or I'll hate it, I think. And if I think at least if I've tried it, then I'll feel accomplished. Another thing on my list is actually the Anthea blouse by Anna Allen. Yeah. Which you've made, I think, haven't you? Or at least used the sleeves.
Yeah, I sort of made a hack. I made a hack of it. I made the top, but I sort of cut it off on the waistline and then added a skirt to it, so I turned it into a dress.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to make it as a top. She has that really nice hack, doesn't she, on her website, which I'd really like to try, where it's got like a scoop neck and a collar and a tie, I love that. Which I think would be really nice as a blouse to wear with jeans. Yeah, no, it's a really good pattern. It's actually really easy as well, as a sort of like, that was the first thing I ever did with buttons. So like for anybody who's a beginner and wants to have a go at sewing, you know, a button band, I actually thought that was quite an easy beginner version. I don't know, maybe
it doesn't look easy actually, does it? Because I haven't actually even bought the pattern yet or anything like that, but yeah, it's good to know that it's quite an easy one. I'm not sure whether to do the hack actually or do it as it is. I'm kind of in two minds. I think I'd like to try both eventually, but maybe I'll make it as it is initially and then try the hack another time. We'll see.
I think for me it's about like, it's getting the right fabric for it, because so I made the classic one with the button all the way up to the top when I made the dress, but I find that if you haven't got the sleeves on show, if I've got like a cardigan on, I look a little bit like a Puritan or something, because it's like buttoned all the way, like it's sort of a bit, I don't know, like when I used to wear costumes and stuff, and like we did the Crucible at school, that's what it feels like. So unless the sleeves are on show, I feel like it looks a bit funny for me. So I quite like the idea of doing a scoop, because you know, then you can wear it, as I say, with like jeans and a cardigan over the top, and then when it's warm enough you can sort of show off the big sleeves. But they always come out really nicely as well, because you bias bind the bottom of the sleeve. So that's really satisfying to me, that they just come in really nicely and they look really neat and tidy.
Yeah, I'm excited to make that actually. And then knitting actually, since you mentioned them earlier, I want to make the Rosa cardigan by Along a Vecana.
Oh, okay.
Knitting wise.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, that's next on my knitting list. Yeah. I think that might challenge me a little bit actually, because I think the sleeves might be knit in a way that I'm not used to. So
okay, yeah, I'm not sure.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Is it short rows that are sometimes done with sleeves?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Short rows are a lot easier than you think actually. It's just sort of like counting. You have to sort of get your head around the counting, but it's not as hard as everybody thinks. It's just basically like stopping halfway across a row and turning around and going back again. So yeah, it's not as scary as you think.
That's good to know.
Yeah, there's lots of YouTube tutorials as well if you get stuck, so on like German short rows and things.
Okay, so I'll be asking you then if I get stuck.
Yeah, I'm very happy to help if I can. Yeah.
No, I'm very excited for spring sewing now. I'm kind of over winter.
Yeah, I know. I did, like you just said, you just watched my video that was up on Sunday. A lot of that stuff is still like wool and jersey, and I'm like, I really need to get a wriggle on. Like, I need to be sewing these at the beginning of March, otherwise I'm just, because if I can't wear it straight away, like it's too hot or it's too cold, I get a bit sort of like fed up and sad about it. So I always want to sew things that I can wear immediately.
Yeah, I always feel as though I would like to be ahead of season as well, so I'd like to be sewing like for winter and the summer. But it just doesn't seem to work like that, does it? Because you get distracted by too many other things that come out, or too many other looks that come out you want to sew. So yeah, maybe one day
I always say that about knitting. I always try to be a season ahead with knitting, but then it's always like you get to sort of the end of the season before and you're like then starting that season and you think, oh, I'd like this to wear and I'd like this to wear. So at the moment I'm like knitting things for spring, but I know that they're not going to be finished until like the end of April. It's probably going to be too hot to wear them, but I really want them, so
yeah, I guess you need to be like that with knitting in a way, don't you? So knitting takes so much longer than sewing. So,
yeah, exactly. So I'm like knitting up I'm about to start knitting up my jumper that I did for Kirsty to release in September, so I'm going to be knitting that up now so that it's got time to like go to testing and stuff, which is going to be really weird, like trying to get people to test it in like June, because that is not the right time to be wearing a jumper. No. But what can you do?
Yeah, I guess it's necessary to do that.
Yeah, hopefully a lot of people will think, oh, actually I'd like to make that over the summer and then I can start wearing it straight away in the autumn. So we'll see. Yeah,
that would be the organised way to do it, wouldn't it?
Yeah. it never really works out that way though.
No.
Yeah. Oh well, that is all my questions for you. So my last one is just simply, where can people find you? Where can they, like your YouTube channel and your Instagram and everything?
So I'm on Instagram at Secret Life of a Seamstress, so secret_life_ secret, so Secret Life of a Seamstress with underscores in between each word, I will say. Yeah, and YouTube, my channel is called Secret Life of a Seamstress as well, and then my blog is secretlifeofseamstress.co.uk, so pretty much the same wherever you go. Kind of regretting having such a tongue twister of a name now.
Yeah,
it's so long.
It's cool.
I should have just had my name.
It does work really well. I'll make sure I tag all of your links in the description below so people can find you. But also you write, don't you, for Minerva and who else?
Yeah, so I freelance write for the Pattern Pages magazine, Threads Monthly, which is a blog, and Sew It Yourself, which is an online craft tutorial as well, and then obviously Minerva as well too. So you can find me over on Minerva, again at Secret Life of Seamstress. I'll be sharing all my Minerva makes.
Sure. Yeah, great. I will make sure I tag it all so everyone can see everything that you're up to, because all your makes are so lovely. I'm always very inspired by everything that you make. And I always think,
thank you very much.
I should make one of those too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on Inside the Craft Room today, Sally. It's been lovely to talk and find out all about your sewing journey and your knitting and everything.
Thank you for having me. It's been really lovely to chat to you, and I'm very jealous of your craft room and all of your yarn stash that I can see behind you. No, it's been really lovely to chat. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being involved. So if you enjoyed watching, guys, make sure to subscribe because there will be lots more coming. Give us a like and put a comment down below and tell us what you've been making recently. We always love to hear what you've been up to, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.